Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is live and direct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We are live and direct today on top of the Virus Music Station. See, we're coming to you from a nondescript bunker, safety zone. See, from the nuclear bunker, somewhere in Pickering, hidden from the prying eyes. Seeing, and yeah, so I'm here today with Dell Wilks, of course, someone that is well known in the Toronto area for his contribution to the reggae music business, and over the many years. And of course, I met Dell when I was first getting involved in music way back in the day. I won't even say how long ago it was because it made me look really old. You know what I mean? Yes, I mean, but we are broadcasting from his actual studio today, and I'm very honored to be able to have an interview with Dell and talk about some of those things that we did back in the day. And of course, he's got a wealth of information that he will provide to you, the audience, today about what he's been doing over the many years and where he intends to take it. Of course, along with myself, he's been doing a podcast right from right here in Toronto, and want to make sure we shed some more light on that. And I'm sure he'll be able to tell us more about that. And of course, it's all about the reggae music and how it's driven and what he would like to see happen in that industry. Seeing that he's kind of like been it for so long and have been very influential, in that sphere. So I just want to say again, people, welcome to another broadcast of the Network of Love. I'm your host, Beatmaster Neddy, live and direct. That ain't no jive. Scene. And of course, as we do it like this. Like I say, come and be yourself every Sunday afternoon. We start a little late because, of course, you know that I'm on the road, and being on the road, you're not going to get everything perfect all the time. So bear with us because, again, we're still, learning as we go along, and we're still trying to perfect our craft. Nonetheless, I'd like to say that we're here for you every Sunday at the Network of Love, and we're going to keep it moving. See? So I wanna bring in Dell Wilks, and just Dell, you can just, if you don't mind, just introduce yourself for us, and we can take it from there.
Yeah, for sure. Greetings all. Happy to be here with the Beatmaster Neddy G. We're at the point where we're trying to set up a podcast. It's not quite ready yet, but we're hoping that we're going to get up and running soon. And the idea behind it is, conceptually, is to create an interest of this great music of reggae, and also some R&B music from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. That's our directives. And Neddy G is here, and I'm very grateful that he's here, helping me along to sort of put this in order. And as we develop this kind of concept, I call it a concept because it's not just playing music or going back in time. It's actually looking at myself and my background. It started for me back in the 60s in London, England, playing music in the nightclubs, and then moving on to working for one of the top labels in Canada, Sony Music, and moving again further on to develop my own company down the road. And it's been a journey. It's been a great journey, and also a journey that has all enabled me to sort of learn a lot, meet a lot of great people, and I want to bring it into the kind of concept that I'm trying to do. And once again, it's about development of a great music, development of the people that is inside the music as well, the people that not just the artists on stage, but the engineers, the managers, the radio station jocks, people that are supportive of this great music. And I've been blessed to have been sort of in touch and get to know some of these great people. And I want to bring them to the show, as guests on an ongoing basis. And I think that's what's going to make the show interesting. And also the fact that it's getting me back into playing this great music once again. which I love to play.
Yeah,
Uh,
so Del, I've kind of observed you kind of getting your practice on in the show and so forth, and I see you playing some really nostalgic music, some real classical reggae music. That is, I know you have a fantastic collection of music. So can you give us a little bit of insight on that as to what motivated you to start this collection and how extensive your collection might be?
okay. Well, it all started, back. I can tell a little story about this great group, the Wailers. I grew up in Jamaica with Bunny Wailer. Um, at 11, 12, 13, myself and Bunny were, wherever you saw one, you'll see the other, walking around in Kingston. And I moved on to London in 1961. And I got a scholarship to go to school. But I decided that I'm going to play some music because that enabled me to get some money, to help me along with my schooling, and I was very good at it, and it enabled me to be in London at a time when this great music was just starting to emerge in London. That's early 60s. The Wailers, people like Delroy Wilson, people like Alton Ellis, people like Ken Booth, John Holt. These are the legends of this music, and I was so fortunate to be in the beginning of it all. And moving to Canada later on, I was also had an opportunity to join Sony CBS, and I remember looking at the situation, saying to myself, I want to be in the business, but I don't want to be an artist, and I don't want to be just in the business. I want to learn the business of music. And the best place to do it is with a record company. There was no universities teaching you about English, about the record industry. So I joined CBS in 1974. And that's when I started to make my collection, because part of my salary as a manager was 12 albums a month. So I collected a lot of music, and I was right in it. We were pushing for all the major labels in Canada. So it wasn't just Sony Music. I had Capitol, I had RCA, I had Warner Brothers. Anything that was coming on as worthwhile listening to, I had access to it. That's where my collection started. And I kept going, and that's kind of the beginning of it all. And that's it. It just grew from that point. And I've given away a lot of records, but I really hang on to the cream
Right.
of my collections,
Right.
And that's
right.
what I want to play at my shows.
Right. And I really love that because the way music is today and the way the trends are moving. It is sometimes I guess kind of concerning to those of us who are fans of the classical type of sound. The type of sound that shows real musical genius. You know what I mean? Arrangement. We're talking about chord arrangement. We're talking about the movement of the music. We're talking about because music is a spiritual thing. It's a vibrational thing, and when you are able to use music to create different emotions, I think that's a very important thing. So Del, we met the first time when I was recording my first track in Toronto, Jamtown. It was and you had a label Jamtown, and can you kind of give us a little bit of a background on that and how that started and how we met and how?
Yes, for sure. I had a friend of mine called Bobby Simpson, and they had a little studio in Toronto, and I'm always interested in young people getting into the business because people would ask me, Del, how do I get into business? And I sort of always was willing to give as much info as I can to sort of say to people, it's not just going to a studio, making a record, and going out there and you become a star.
Right.
It's a lot more to it than that. So when Bobby opened his studio, he had a group of artists that he was working with, and there was quite a few interesting little artists that was developing and come along pretty good. But one person stuck out, and I'm going to be honest, not because he's sitting here with me, but Neddy seemed to be a very sort of deep kind of artist. That he had a song called Pendulum, and I was curious why he was writing this song. And this song was about change. It was about swinging the pendulum. It was about movement. It was about when are we going to start doing things for ourselves and not waiting around for somebody to do it for us. And I got a connection to that, and I think music connects, and I'm into music that connects. If music doesn't connect, to me, it doesn't have any kind of legitimacy. It doesn't have a vibe.
Right.
And the particular song Pendulum, and I worked at it, and I got a few people interested. For example, I got one of the great bass players of reggae bass, Leroy Sibbles.
Leroy, yeah.
He was one of the Studio One top bass players, playing a lot of classic hits out of Jamaica. And I had him, working on the album with Carol Brown, who's somebody we knew, and she was also attached to Jackie Mitu, which was a legend of Jamaican music, and that's where the connection between me and Neddy G came from. But I always admired that he went on beyond that to build his own studio, and I'm not from the technical part of it. I'm from the marketing, promotional part of it, the management part of it, and I was always inspired and sort of admired, I should say, that's a better word, that he was able to develop from that, not just from the singing or the writing, but the actual technical part of it too, because that's always something I thought was lacking here. People who have the technical ability to sort of make something happen beyond just writing a song or doing a song. So that's where our journey started.
Right.
And I'm happy to say here we are today, how many years later, sitting down talking together and
Still
hoping that we're going to work together and do some more things. And,
awesome.
So that's kind of where our journey began as the connection.
Right.
And it's because of a song.
Right.
The song was Pendulum.
There you go. And
I think it's a great song, by the way.
Yeah, I appreciate love that, Dell. So that is kind of like foundational to people, where we started, and of course a part of the inspiration that I had was actually meeting Dell and working with him on that one track, and it engendered a lot of interest. So since then we have evolved and we have done a lot more, and we're into the space now where we're using the technology that's available to us. We're into podcasting now and putting something out where hopefully we can inspire a new generation into being independent and swinging the pendulum, like we'd say, in the direction that makes things happen. You know what I'm saying? And
I'd like to add something to that, Neddy, because to me, you sort of hit the nail in the head there, because my motivation, even to get back in the business, it's not monetary reasons or any reasons like that. I just think we should have some kind of a platform that goes back, right?
Yeah.
And celebrate and acknowledge those great artists of the past, right?
Yes.
Those great artists that started this great music that's internationally right now.
Yes.
It started in a little place called Jamaica, and look where it is today. And I think that in itself is amazing, right?
Yeah.
So if I can sort of be a part of that history, or be a part of bringing to the forefront the history of that music, that's kind of where I want my contribution to be. Because once again, as I said, at Sony, I was working with some of the greats of the business, Michael Jackson, the Manhattans, the OJs, all the R&B greats. Seemed to be on CBS at the time when I was there. That's between, say, the 70s, 80s. That was where the cream of the R&B acts were coming out. And it was a great time for me to be at Sony. Right? And also, it gave me an opportunity, by learning that aspect of the business, to now start producing events with artists from Jamaica.
Right.
Like Dubby Dobson, like Coco T, the great Meritone.
Right.
We had a 30-year career because he was the radio station in Jamaica that created the Wailers, the Bob Marleys, the Dennis Brown.
Right.
It was Winston Blake that was playing the music, not a radio station, because the radio station were playing it.
Yeah.
And this journey has enabled me to sort of work with these people and learn from these people. And also, I want to talk more about these people and tell their stories, because it's all about stories.
Right. And I'm excited to see that happening, Dale, because what's going to happen is obviously you're going to be moving into the direction of using that platform to do exactly that, and I'm excited about that, and I look forward to hearing you do that and watching your podcast. So What's the name of your podcast? Would you mind just putting it out there for us there
Yes,
so people can follow?
it's going to be T. Dot BLK Toronto AV Radio, and we're going to be streaming from the underground nuclear shelter in Pickering, Ontario, because the nuclear plant is walking distance from the shelter here. So we want to be safe. so that's where we're going to be streaming from, and that's where we are right now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And we think to get this great music from. Let's make it explode. They always talk about explosions and nuclear explosion. Well, let's have a nuclear explosion right from here, and let people hear. Because whenever I play, Neddy G said something just now that music's supposed to touch people. If you don't feel it, if you don't connect, it's not the same, and I think this great music is a way of connecting with people, and I'm a people person too, and it's also enabled me now to progress and look back and grab some of the talent and some of the people I know in the business and let them tell their stories, because that's the concept of the show. And everyone's got a story, everyone's got a story. So let's hear it, man, and not just hear it from Joe Blow. Let's hear it from the artist himself,
Right.
Let's hear from the people
Right.
who really are doing it.
Right. So Del, what I do have here, I have a few images on the screen
Yeah.
that I like to bring up, and maybe you can just
Yeah.
kind of. We're just gonna at a random pick some of these images,
Yeah,
and
this-
if you could just kind of give us an idea
Yeah,
what that's all about.
yeah, this image that you're looking at is at the Boji Bantam concert in Toronto. There were about 20,000 people at I think it's the Nova Scotia Centre or something like that, or Rogers Centre. I'm not quite sure which centre it was, but in the picture is Dennis Thompson. I call him the great Dennis Thompson. He's Jamaica's top audio engineer. He's the sound behind the Wailers. He's the sound behind Dennis Brown. He's the sound behind Buju Banton. He's the sound behind Steel Pulse. He's the sound behind Peter Tosh.
Yeah.
And Dennis and I have been friends for a long time. And whenever he comes into town, he invites me to just sit with him on the board. And I feel really privileged, to really sit beside DT and watch him work. And I realize and admire and see what a great person he is. And we plan to have him on the show to tell you his story and tell you a little bit about himself
Nice.
and his journey.
Yeah, that's wicked. So I can't wait until you're in this studio, this very studio, doing some of those interviews, bringing some of these people who have worked so hard in the industry and who are like foundational people. They're the people who build not just the sound but the appeal that the music brings and so on. So I'm excited I'm looking forward to hearing and seeing more of that on your show, Dale. And as we move forward into the future, that is something I'm pretty sure that a lot of the people in Toronto and worldwide would probably really enjoy. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, so as far as I just also wanted to remind everybody that the podcast that you're listening to is the Network of Love. Network of Love is hosted by yours truly, Beatmaster Neddy G. And of course, we're coming to you directly from the underground shelter, in Toronto, and directly from Dell Wilks studio. So we're actually on the road right now. So again, bear with us as we try to make sure that we keep a certain quality to our podcast as we bring it to you. It's still challenging because we're not, again, experts at this, but we're getting better. Really? And we try to make sure that we do that all the time. Also want to remind everybody and thank everybody who is subscribed on YouTube, over 31,000 subscriptions. And we appreciate you very much. We are growing by leaps and bounds just because you are paying attention and showing interest in what we're doing. And we really do appreciate that. Also, I just want to say that we also will continue doing the Strike the Chord program on the Network of Love. when we return to our regular scheduled programming. But as of right now, we're excited to be here in the T dot in this nuclear shelter. Talking to Dell Wilks, and yeah. So what I'm gonna do at this moment is drop another thing on here, Dell, and some of it might have a little bit of music in the background, but you can still talk. Because it won't prevent you from saying so.
Yeah,
And
this
that's
pick is the great Alton Ellis and the great Stranger Cole. This was
Yeah.
a concert at the Jamaican Canadian Center back in the 80s. And I was so honored to be between the two giants of this business. And also, there's a story for that too, because lo and behold, I've been out of Jamaica for about 10 years, and I went back to visit relatives in Jamaica, and I think this was like 1970, around about 1970. And the music place in Jamaica was Orange Street and Beeson Street. That's where all the big studios were and all the artists used to hang about. And I stand on a corner in my suit because I hadn't reached home yet. And a bike pulled up, and who was on the bike? It was Alton Ellis and Stranger Cole.
Wow.
And they wanted to know if I just arrived or just landed, right? And years later, here's me and them in Canada now, taking this great shot. And Alton is no longer with us, but I know Stranger is, and he's touring and doing great. And I'm hoping to have Stranger Cole on the show and being one of my guests as well, because he's got some great stories to tell too. And he's still touring, and he's still packing them in. And it only goes to show that great music never dies, and great art, it just continues.
Right. Awesome, man. Yeah, it's really nice to see when again, I love the foundational people who have been inspiration to myself. All of these artists are people who I admire, and they have inspired my interest in this business, anyways, and why I got involved in the first place in writing and composing, and then getting into a studio situation, and then now doing this podcast. So the Network of Love is designed specifically to make sure that we can bring people together. We're talking about intergenerational connectivity, because I think that is crucially important in today's society. So there's no disconnect between this and that generation. I think we need to have an interwoven connectivity of ideas and and relationships, so that we can keep growing and keep building, because one generation builds on the accomplishments of the previous generation, etc., and you accumulate not just influence and that, but also wealth. When I speak of wealth, I'm not talking about just financial wealth. I'm speaking also of historical, cultural, philosophical, and all of those type of wealth that is realized not simply by economics, but by the social connectivity. So that's kind of like some of the things that we talk about here at the Network of Love, and we want to make sure that we stay true to our creed. Again, I'm gonna bring up something else on the screen there. And
I'd like to add something to Neddy, because I'm saying, just to tap onto what you're saying. I remember Dennis Brown did a song called "No Man Is an Island,"
right,
and that was a huge hit.
Right.
And I've lived with that, because I always believe that okay, it's great to have lots of money,
right,
but what's worthwhile to me more than money is having your brethren and your brother work with you on different projects and different things. And I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
Some of the people I've actually got a chance to work with, it wasn't because of money. It's because of connections. And we had a feeling, and we decided, okay, forget the money. We got to work together. And that's how I feel, sitting here with Neddy G, that, we're on a mission.
Yeah.
We're on a very serious mission.
Yes.
And I think we have to tell this story, because nobody's going to tell the story for us.
Right.
And I'm of the belief that, as we go along, and we share, I think people will be interested in what we're doing and help us build this thing, because it's what it's all about. It's all about knowledge. It's all about information. It's all about celebrating. It's all about this great music, and also understanding that if you don't know where you're coming from, you can't know where you're going.
That's right.
And my mother always told me that. So it's something that lives with me as well. That hey,
Right. Right.
let's work together, because
That's right.
that's what I think Neddy is trying to say here, and we
Yes.
plan to work together.
Network of love. So Dell, on the screen, I have another image there. Just
Oh.
want to give us a little bit of background. on
That's a
that.
great image. I tapped on it a little earlier, but there's three people there. There's Bob Marley, there's Peter Tosh, and there's Bunny Wailer.
Right.
Now, my story, and it's going to be a big part of my story, that between the age of say 11, 12, 13, I left for London at 13. Bunny and I were best friends.
Yeah.
We were rolling around in Rollington Town and Vineyard Town and then Kingston, always together.
Right.
And I didn't know that he was part of the Wailers, because I left for London, and I was playing his music. First hit was Simmer Down, and I was in the clubs playing this song,
Right.
not even knowing it was Bunny, until one day I was reading something, and the paper said Neville O'Reilly Livingston, and I went, wow, wait a minute,
Yeah.
that's my virgin.
That's amazing.
There's only one person could have a name like that,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
Bunny. So
Right.
it's after I left for London that Bunny went and hooked up with Bob
Right.
in Trenchtown or wherever they hooked up,
Right,
and
right.
Peter, and they became the Wailers.
Nice.
So that is also, and I've lived to be on stage with him at some of his major concerts. At Madison Square Gardens, when he sold it out at 30,000,
Mm-hmm.
I was on stage with him.
Nice.
When he played Varsity Stadium in Toronto,
Right.
I was on stage with him.
Nice.
You understand?
Yes.
And he's passed on, but
Yes.
his legacy is going to be ongoing.
Yes.
And one of the people I want to bring on stage on the show to have a talk, have a conversation, is his manager. His name is Bo Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
And Bo knows a story about Bunny that
Right.
it's going to be very interesting when I get Bo
Yeah.
to sit and talk with me on the show. So
Yes,
that's the kind of connection that I'm talking about.
Beautiful.
It's inside the stories. It's not
Yes,
just a
yes.
story where people blab about and people talk because
yeah.
they think it's cool to talk.
Right.
But this is real talk. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
By real people who were instrumental in getting it done.
Definitely. Yeah, man. I mean, that's the way it is. It's about more just working, like I say, creating that network, creating the connectivity. You know what I'm saying?
And I want to stay on there for a little bit longer too. Peter
Okay.
Tosh now.
Mhm.
And here's where the Dennis Thompson connection comes in.
Oh, okay.
I saw Peter Tosh
Mhm.
at the CNE Stadium,
Okay.
right? The headline was the Police, the rock group, the Police.
Right.
There were 70,000 people at the CNE grounds,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Peter Tosh came in second to last. After Peter was the Police.
Uh-huh.
Dennis Thompson was the engineer.
Oh, okay.
And I was on stage with Peter at that concert as well. So
Nice.
I'm just saying,
Right.
we're interconnected,
Right.
and those special moments sort of live with me to the point where I think it's only proper for me to get back involved in the business, even though, it's sometimes people say, but it's something that I feel
Right.
that need to be done, and I will continue to do my best, my very best actually, to make this show as interesting as possible for you listeners, and hope you will tune in, tell a friend, help us build it, because I think if with your help, it can be something really special.
Definitely. I think that again, it's all about the people, it's all about the peeps. Again, I want to shout out to everybody who's listening. I'm not able to actually monitor on screen today because, again, remember, we're not, set up in our original situation. We are actually mobile right now, doing this interview with Dell Wilks. And I'm sure, again, Dell, I just like you to mention your podcast again to let us know where we can see you and the times when you plan to have that program on air.
Yeah, we still have a little work to do. I'm hoping that we can get going within the next maybe 3 weeks.
Right.
And I'm not going to do it until I feel very comfortable with it.
Right.
Because I'm a bit of a, it's got to be right. Else I don't go.
Right. I hear
And
you.
I also like to think that if you don't give some people a reason to listen to your show,
Right.
because it's interesting, then people won't listen.
Right.
So I'm going to try and make it as interesting as I possibly can.
There you go.
And with the content that I have and with
Right.
the music I play,
Right.
you know,
Yes.
I think we can build something that's kind of
Definitely.
different and special.
Definitely. And I really like that because again, you know, people when we build, we try to be original in everything
Yes.
that we do, and we try to make sure that we're, you know, bringing positivity. Again, we vibrate at love's frequency. That means if we don't discriminate against anyone for any reason, as long as you come vibrating at love's frequency. In other words, if you're about love, if you're about connectivity, if you're about music, you know, you're welcome. Yeah, like I say, come and be yourself every Sunday afternoon at the Network of Love show here. And of course, from time to time, Dell Wilks and I will do some collabs so that, you know, you can have some additional content from a different perspective. And I can't wait until he gets that, the confidence in terms of the perfection he's looking for. He is a perfectionist, by the way. I'll tell you that now. So you're not going to get something from him that's less than excellent. So, you know, that's kind of like what we're wanting to happen. And of course, I'm honored to be involved at any level in this case. So again, what I want to do is bring up again something else on here, Del, and you can give us you know, some other insight. Yeah, so can you tell us a little bit about that?
That little clip was very interesting because
Yeah.
where that was, I did a boat cruise with Maritone
Mm-hmm.
from 2000 to 2012. It was the annual events. You know, I mean, here we are at Caribana. I did this every Sunday
Every
for
Sunday.
Caribana.
Yeah.
We had a boat that capacity was about 500,
Mm-hmm.
and most nights we have.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Trying to get
Most
out
nights we'd have like 500 on the boat and maybe another 100 want to come on the boat. Can't be on the boat. And that was a great Maritone playing there,
Right.
you know. And we were very successful at this. To the day, people still ask me, a Caribana time, you know,
Mhm.
what you're doing there. But I said, we did it well. We had a great time. Now I'm living on my memories.
Mhm.
And that was a clip from that time, right, with
Right.
Winston playing.
Right.
And that's the great Maritone that you saw there.
Right. Right.
And it's passed on, by the way. So I had these clips of these great memories of him.
Yes.
So I show it.
I remember when you did a show back in the day, and what happened was you had his wife was Cynthia Sloss, right?
Cynthia Sloss, yes.
Right. So you had a show, and I was a part of that show.
Yeah.
I did a couple of tracks on that show.
Yeah.
And that was held at
The show was at the Sheraton.
Sheraton.
The Sheraton Hotel. You know, we
Right.
had over 1,000 people there that night.
Right.
And you and I were working together, and I said, I went to Winston. I said, Winston, I want to showcase Neddy G. And he said, who the hell is Neddy G? I said, he's an artist that, I just coming on board, is developing, but I think he's got potential, man.
Right. Right.
And as I said, here we are after all this time,
Yes,
working
yes.
together again. And that was a great night because to add to that story,
Mm-hmm.
it was such a success that night that the following year, the great Cynthia Sloss, which in my opinion is one of the top female vocalists out of Jamaica,
Right.
period,
Yeah.
bar none, right?
Right.
Was to come back the following year.
Right.
but she died in January.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And for the
I remember.
Valentine party that we're going to keep on February, you know, and it was such a sort of a blow because
Yeah.
we're
Big
all
loss.
looking forward to
Yeah.
her coming back,
Right, right.
and that was the first time she performed outside of Jamaica
Right.
with her husband,
Right.
Merito.
Man, I'm telling
It
you.
was a special night.
Right. So, talk about losses. Like in the city of Toronto, for example, we've had some losses, I'm talking about the late great Carl Brown, and you can mention quite a few other names that we were, amongst and working amongst for the many years. So can you recall a couple of those other persons that we've actually had interaction with over the years?
Yeah, the greatest of them all to me was Jackie Mitu.
Right.
Right, he was the foundation of the music. He was Studio One's
Right.
producer, because a lot of times those songs it was Jackie Mitu who had to do the producing and playing all the keyboard lines on that, right?
Right.
And he was a close friend of mine here,
Right.
and a great loss
Right.
when he moved on.
Big time. Yeah.
I can think of Leroy Sibbles,
Right.
who used to live here. He doesn't long live here anymore, but I mean, he was a big influence
Right.
on the Canadian music scene as well.
Yes.
I can think of who else I can think of off the top of my head here. Carl Brown,
Carl Brown. Mm-hmm.
Stranger Cole used to live here.
Right.
Alton Ellis used to live in Toronto.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so it's we have a legacy of artists that's been here and continue to leave its mark on
Right.
the Toronto music scene.
Right.
And hopefully, if Leroy's ever back in town, I'd love to have him on the show. And I think we've got a good connection, so I think
Right.
I'll be able to get him on. And I want him to talk, and I want him to talk about not just all the great things he's done, but how much of an impact
Right.
he's had in Toronto.
Right.
Because there's a tendency to think, oh, Toronto's just a little town and nothing happens in Toronto. But hey, Merton used to say to me that some of he tours in England, he tours in Jamaica, he tours in the States, and he always loves to come to Canada. And when he comes to Canada, he stays.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because he loves it here. So,
Right.
Toronto's been a special place, man, and it still is.
Right.
That picture there, if you can get it up.
Yes.
That's Stranger Cole, if you can put it up for me. I'd like to mention something about that one.
Yeah.
And,
A second.
talking about Toronto. This was at Nathan Phillips Square. And
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. There you go, Dell.
yeah, I'm saying that picture
Mm-hmm.
was taken at Nathan Phillips Square.
Mm-hmm.
And the band they brought up was on drums was Sly Dunbar.
Yeah.
Ox Brown was
Right.
another killer Jamaican rhythm guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey Chung, right?
Uh-huh.
And that was a special coming together of some great musicians on that show, because those guys came in from California, from Europe or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
to do this production.
Right.
And Dira was hanging with Stranger and taking a picture with them, and just extending our friendship,
Right.
and have a memory of that event.
Yes.
And Nathan Phillips was packed that day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many thousands were there, but there was 1,000 people, right?
Right.
So great memories once again, and I think that's what it's all about: memories and stories and things that when you reflect, you realize that hey, it was all right, it was cool, it was special.
Definitely special. So, yeah, man. So, what I see happening right now is, trying to get, I guess, awareness and knowledge around some of the foundational music and artists and people who actually are, I would say the pioneers then
Mm-hmm.
in this business and in the reggae music business in particular. Now, although here at the Network of Love, we deal with all genres of music and all different topics and etc. etc. Because we're not just a one-trick pony, as you know.
Mhm.
But what we want to do is make sure that somehow we're shedding some more light on some of those people who are, like I say, are pioneers in the business and who have inspired myself and a host of other people, regardless of what's happening in the music industry. Reggae has been extremely influential in many, many, many ways. And so that from that, like we mentioned, that little place called Jamaica, we are proud to say that we are from her,
Mhm.
and that we will continue to celebrate all accomplishments and achievements of all Jamaicans and people who are contributing culturally, musically, economically, and to the betterment of our society. So
Yeah.
I'm saying, so that is my overall take on it, and some of the reasons why we're doing exactly what we are doing right now.
Yeah, and if I may interject to Neddy,
Yeah,
this is why we're here. This is
exactly.
really the reason why we're here, because
Right.
it's not about sort of doing anything that is out of whack or extraordinary. All we're saying is that, hey, we have a great music,
We do.
right? Let's
Yep.
talk about it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not just the musicians or
Right.
the artists. It's about the producers, the engineers,
right.
the people behind the scenes.
Exactly.
That is something I like to bring to the forefront, because
Right.
these are people who are neglected. I was in Jamaica a couple of years ago too, and I met Stephen Stanley.
Mhm.
Who was Stephen Stanley? Stephen Stanley was Bob Marley's studio engineer,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he was showing me a picture of him and Chris Blackwell
Yeah.
at Nassau when they
Right.
did all these great albums working together. And I said to myself, hey, I'm in the midst of something of greatness, and he would take all these pictures and show me of him and Chris sitting around the
Right.
board,
Right.
And I said, Stephen, you have to come on the show one day
Right.
and talk about this.
Right.
And he will,
Yeah. And
So-
that's awesome because getting the perspectives of people like those who have been around for so long and who have contributed so much to the music, and yet a lot of us wouldn't know, unless you're familiar somehow. You wouldn't hear these names. You wouldn't know that they're there because they're like, a lot of them are in the background doing tremendous amount of very important work, and the reason why that the spokes in the wheel that keep this thing going, right? So it's very important for us to be able to tap into those type of resource and make sure that we can bring it to the forefront. So we're inviting everybody to stay tuned.
Yes.
Make sure that you are going to be a part of this history,
right.
a part of this growth, a part of this resurgence of good reggae music that will continue to influence people worldwide, right? So right here on the Network of Love, with yours truly, Beatmaster Neddy G, and that ain't no jive, and with Dell Wilks from the underground shelter.
The nuclear shelter in
Nuclear
Pickering.
shelter.
In Pickering. and the ID is T dot, means Toronto,
Right.
PLK, right?
That-
AV radio. And we with your help, with the
Yes.
support, because we want you to share, we want you to subscribe, we want you to donate, because that's how we build it, and
Right.
hopefully after all is said and done, some young person with some aspiring ambition of being in the music business
Right.
will listen to a show and maybe be inspired,
That's
know,
right. That's
and
right.
been saying, okay,
Yeah,
it seems really interesting. It's something I
yeah.
can do, and I'm not going to just wing it. I'm going to be serious about it,
Right.
because you have to be serious.
Yeah, I've always said that I don't know who's going to benefit from this podcast, but with every podcast that I do, I'm sincerely hoping that someone
Yes,
somewhere out there benefits from it.
That's right.
So to again, kudos and shout out to all of the over 31,000 subscribers on the Network of Love. That's a tremendous amount of you who have subscribed. I hope to get to the 50,000 mark by the end of August, right? I hope we can get there. So please share, and subscribe, right? Let's push this out. They talk about algorithm. Now these are buzzwords. I don't really care about the buzzwords, algorithms, and so on. I just want you to come and be yourself, enjoy yourself every Sunday, right here with us at the Underground Network. Network of Love with your host Beatmaster Neddy, and make sure that you keep an eye out for Dell Wilks as he bring his program forward, and make sure that you kind of be among us once we start to make that connectivity and to start to push this music out in a different way worldwide. So you're invited, please. Just make sure so you come along. You see what I'm saying?
And I like to say that you know it takes two hands to clap. Right?
There you go.
And there's me and Neddy knocking our heads together now and collaborating and working together. And I hope that will be a sort of a inspiration for others to realize that hey, it takes a network. It takes coming together, so to speak. And yeah, we're gonna make it interesting. We're gonna make it, and we're gonna play great music for you. And let's get the feedback. Let us tell us how you're feeling. Tell us who you'd like us to bring on board. Tell us who you'd like to talk to, who you'd like to hear, because that will be something that will trigger our interest in going out and getting the right people to come on board and tell you their stories, and inspire you and inspire the young people who are coming up behind us, because it's their time, it's not ours. All we can do is say, well, this is our path and this is what we did, and it's your time.
Right. Yeah. So what we're gonna do now, we're just gonna take a little drop a one track in, because we just want to make sure that we're not just we just want to make sure we kind of remind everybody that there's a new album out called The Network of Love, from which everything based on this podcast is based. And I'm also gonna drop one track from there for you, and then we're gonna talk to Dell a little bit more, and then we're gonna look to close out the show. And we like, again, I say, we appreciate everybody being here. Now this one is called Don't Try to Hide From a Love. So check it out, live and direct on top of the Virus Music Station, Underground Bunker. Your host Beatmaster Neddy, live and direct at No Jive. Check it out.
Your countenance and have you smiling all the time.
You know what? I think we're gonna cancel that, because the streaming is not giving us a full stream in terms of the bit rate. So you're gonna get some distortion in the quality of the music. So we're not gonna bother doing that. We're gonna just keep talking, because I think it's more appropriate right now to to do that while we close out the show. So Dell, can you kind of just give us an idea of what we can look forward to from you and your show in the next few? I know that you're trying to get certain things organized and structured, but can you kind of give us a little bit more information as to what it is that you would like to see happen, and what your goals are, what you're planning to make happen with this podcast?
Well, first of all, I'd like to be able to get it set up in a way that it's different.
Right.
Because I've learned a long time ago, everybody goes out and be doing the same thing. It's just the same old. Right. So to make it different, I think it's a content that's going to make a difference.
Right.
So my goal is to reach out to my friends, right, and for their friends,
right,
in the business,
right.
And
it's a network. Remember?
It's a network, right?
Yeah.
It's a network, and because it's a network, I'm pretty confident that we can build it into something really different and something special.
Right.
Right.
So I see behind me, in your studio. We're actually in your studio right now, and I see behind me a whole host of like posters and flyers of events and things that you've been involved with over the many years. And I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to be the one to kind of show you all of that, right? That's his domain, and he's going to show you all of that. But look forward to all of this. This man has got a wealth of information, all kind of things. Especially if you are a fan of reggae music, I think you're going to really truly enjoy being with Dell on his show as he goes through, an extensive collection of reggae music, along with some of his the shows and events that he's been involved with over the years. So, and now he wants to get back into doing a lot more, like in contemporary times for the music and about the music. So, I'm pretty sure that you're gonna really truly enjoy that.
What I like to say too is that I started playing music really early, and I think that people call me and say, Dell, I like the way you play,
Right.
because when you play, it connects,
Right.
I like the way you organize things, and I think that is something that I'm not a singer, I'm not a guitar player, but I get into the music,
If we
and
make the wicked selection.
yeah, I feel the music, and I've been told that. So I will
Yeah.
continue to do that,
Right, right.
And not only that, as you look behind me, I've done some very, very eventful things here in the
Mhm.
city, and I see Liberty Silver there. I see
Right.
Eddie Bullen.
Right.
I see Fred Crosley.
Yes. Yes.
I see Pete. I see Andrew Tosh.
Right. Right. Right.
We did a Bob Marley special occasion down at the Harborfront Center
Right, right,
downtown, and for 3 days we're sold out.
Nice.
Producing a show about Bob Marley's life, and we couldn't get Bob, but we got Andrew Tosh
Right.
to come and sing all this father's music,
Right,
and it
right.
was a
Yeah.
bomb,
Yeah.
and so that's what that wall represents to me. And
Right.
I look at Fab Five.
Mhm.
He's going to be here for this Caravana weekend,
Right.
playing at Club Jamaica. We
Right.
had him at the Sheraton,
Right.
turned it upside down.
Nice.
you know what I mean?
Nice.
and it just gives me the feeling that there's Lloyd Coxon behind you.
Right. Yeah.
No, his story is that he was the top sound system
Right.
in London
Right.
back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And people hear about Rodigan, the great Rodigan.
Yes.
Well, he was the one that took Rodigan to his first dance
Oh, okay.
to introduce him to Jamaican music,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Friend of mine, you know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
And he's saying to me, Dell, just call me, let me know when you want me to come on the show.
Nice.
There's Winston Francis, right?
Yes.
People like that, and I just feel that I'm just anxious to get everything in place that I
Right.
can
Right.
put this all together, because
Nice.
I myself want to hear these
Yeah.
stories from these guys. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
You know?
So as far as as the reggae music goes in Toronto, I know that while I was here, you on the radio, for example, it was very, access to the music has been very limited. But you had, one or two radio DJs who, although it wasn't really commercial radio, you had university radio and so on, people who have stuck by this music for so long. And I probably like, if you can think of a couple of those names that you'd like to give a shout out to, I'd like to do that. At the top of my mind, I can think of Patrick Roots, for example, who has been instrumental in keeping the flames going for the reggae music in this city. And anybody else that you want to hear?
Well, what I'd like to to say is that also, yes, there are quite a few different DJs from the community station, because that's the only way they had
Yes.
access to.
Right,
But I had a band there called Phase 4,
right.
and that band was being played on Q107.
Mhm.
That band was played on CFNY.
Right.
That band was played on Chum.
Uh-huh.
These are all rock stations, right?
Right.
And I looked at that as saying, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you produce it,
Right.
they will play it,
Right.
but you got to produce it,
Right.
you know? So, so I've always said to myself that, something, let's not set our sights at that level, right?
Right.
Let's shoot for the stars. You may
Right.
not get the stars, but you
There you go.
you get close to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it all come back down to people like Bobby Simpson,
Right.
people like Warren from Sunshine Sound, that's been
Yeah.
stalwart.
Right.
I mean, I remember Taurus Riley coming here with
Right.
Dean Fraser last year,
Right. Yeah.
do a street concert at Eglinton
Uh-huh,
and open
uh-huh.
over 40,000-50,000 people there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Nobody hears about these people, and these
Yeah.
people are instrumental.
Right.
Rap Rose,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Who was one of those early record stores. that
Right.
was here.
Right.
Monica, you know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah.
People like that.
I remember all of those peeps.
That's right.
Yeah.
And And that's what to me, you know, those memories we got to recreate. And not
Right,
only
right.
recreate, but maybe bring it back in
Bring
the
it back,
forefront
yes,
and let
yes.
people know that we have a history.
There is a history,
You know, and
definitely.
there's people that have worked here hard
That's right.
and developed things and
That's right.
gone through the storms.
That's
And hey, we want to talk about them.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I remember when I was running my studio on Bathurst Street a couple of years back before I exited Toronto, and you know I had you know met quite a few artists from Jamaica who were up there, really recognized as fantastic artists and so on. Not gonna mention any names right now, but I say this to say that there's a lot of history in the city where reggae music is concerned. And like Dell says, if we produce it and produce it at a level, without concern about, remember, music is kind of like an art form, and, you will have 10, 20, 30 different producers. And if I were to take the stem tracks from a song, for example, and I present it to 30 different producers, right? You're going to get 30 different flavors in the mix, right? So don't have someone discourage you about what it is that you're doing. As long as you are keeping with the technical requirements, for example, 1 + 1 is 2, right? You can't go 1 + 1 is 3. It's gonna be incorrect. So if you play a note or a chord and you have the proper chords and you have the proper arrangements and you're careful about your production, and you get it to the stage where it can be played on the major radios, just keep putting it out, keep producing it and putting it out, because that's the only way to actually move forward. I find that a lot of discouragement is going to be among an artist. Most of the time, people just don't believe in you. People just don't think that you can do it. People just feel that somehow this is beyond you. But don't be deterred by those type of vibrations, because we know that art is a very subjective and a very special thing. Yes, there is the objectivity in terms of making sure that you have the right technical aspects to it. But from a subjective standpoint, from a vibrational standpoint, you can actually be extremely creative, and that's really up to you. So don't let no one kind of restrict your creativity and what it is that you want to do. Just go for it, man.
Yeah, and also, Neddy, if I may add to that, be different.
Exactly.
Don't be like anybody else.
Exactly.
Because, I remember back at the label, what I learned is that you'd have so many things coming into a major label, but the one that is going to be getting the attention is the one that's a little bit different. I keep hearing, that one sounds a little bit different from everybody else. So try and be different. So
be different.
Take the criticism, you know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
let somebody say, okay, I don't like that. But the point is, the fact that you're being different, that means you're standing out from everybody else. And whatever you do, and I always try to do that in my events, my show. I try to do it at a level, even on the locations of what I do my shows. If I want people to dress up and come to a show, I'm not going to take it down to a place that is at the corner of hellhole down in Toronto, you know what I mean? I'm going to the Sheraton, I'm sorry, because what happens there is that somebody puts on their clothes, right? They don't mind paying $50 because it's a special evening for them, right? And they're going to hear good music. The great Maritone is playing. And I've never had an incident. I never had a situation where people said to me, Dell, I didn't really enjoy that, because I go out of my way to make sure details, pay attention to these, just like in your recordings. Make sure your recordings is to the best of your ability, and also make sure, put your mind in the person that's listening to it. How is it going to connect with that person?
Exactly. So, as we move on, I just want to like to say again, it's time to close the show up. We wish that we could stay with you much longer, but that's why we're just giving you a teaser now, so you kind of know what's going on, so they can keep tuning in and listening to what we're doing and what's going on, right? So people, right now, I just like to say again, thank you so much for tuning in, all of you. I wish I was able to see the comments and so on. I'm just not able to do that today. But when we get reestablished in our own underground bunker, we'll probably have much more flexibility in doing that. But I would like to say thank you very much, Dell Wilks, for having us join you in your studio today. And, we look forward to hearing all the good works that you'll be doing. And, from both a historical and a future standpoint, what's going to be happening. And, I look forward, Dell, to working with you in the future. I think the future is bright regardless of what's going on, because we are the ones who make it happen.
Yeah, and I'd like to say thank you to Neddy G for coming here and doing your show here for me today, because it's also a learning curve for me as well,
Yes.
especially from the technical aspect of putting a podcast together. And to me, I'm grateful, and also I hope this is just the start of you and I working together, and building this thing, because I think you're saying that you're producing, you work with artists,
Yes.
Let this be the platform.
Yeah.
Let T-Dot be the platform also
Definitely.
to get some of that great
definitely.
music out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and interview some of the artists and sort of tell people about what's going on, because we need to. When there's no excitement, we need to create the excitement.
there you go.
There
you go.
So
Like I said,
let's create some of that.
We're the
because-
ones who make it happen, people.
That's
We,
right.
when I say we, it's just me
That's
and
right.
you.
So once again, thank you, my friend.
Yes, sir. We appreciate
Enough
you.
cheers and one
Yes.
love and God bless and everything that goes with that. Okay.
Yes, Dale, and I appreciate love you. So again, people, I am your host, Beatmaster and DJ live and direct coming to you from Dell's safe place here, from the nuclear shelter. But join us again next week as we broadcast to you from the underground bunker, where yours truly, Beatmaster and DJ, will be hosting again, and we'll have something different for you at that time, right? So until then, make sure you have a productive week. Enjoy the rest of the long weekend. And we look forward to having you right here next week. Oh, I forgot to mention that the on the webpage, the contract is now available for you who are artists who want to have your music featured on my show. It's now available for you to download and to sign and to sign off to having us help to expose your music. So if you're so inclined and you want to get your music on the show and you want to be interviewed and so on, send us your information via that contract. Just go to the web page and navigate to that. It's a PDF format that you'll have to download, fill it out and sign it. You also have to sign up for an account there too to be a member. That way you have access to that private page, right? So it's now available. If you want to have your music featured on the show, you need to sign that contract, send it in to us at beat@virusmusic.com. Also, don't forget that you have an opportunity to win a fantastic piece of jewelry from Neddy Gavin Jewelers in Alpharetta, Georgia. All you got to do is answer the question: what was the official release date of the album The Network of Love? And you have a chance to win one of these fantastic pieces of jewelry. So in the meantime, again I say have a productive weekend, and week coming up. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Be safe, and we'll talk again, and right here at the Network of Love. Bless up. Dell, thanks again, and bless up.
Yeah, man. Enough cheers.
All right.